What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Barber Jase back with another video. I hope you guys are having a great day. We are back with another tutorial for you guys, and thank you again for everyone that's tuning in. But anyway, for this video we're going to go for a crop and we're going to do some guard skipping. So starting off, cutting the top, let's section up that profile line, make sure it's about 2 centimeters wide. And we're going to start from the back of the profile line where the highest point of the head is. This is going to be the true length. As you can see, I'm rounding my fingers following the shape of the head. This will mean there will be more weight behind the fringe, so it will actually sit flatter. So after cutting my profile line, I sweep everything over to the right and I start sweeping from the front. My guard should be in the middle, as you can see, and I keep my fingers square. Make sure you cut to your guide, but be careful. Don't cut past your guide. So when the middle column is done, I comb everything over to the right again and I start cutting the left column. This is when I round my fingers and I pull the hair 90 degrees. When you're cutting with your scissors, make sure you pull the hair with good tension. This is why we wet the hair down. Also, make sure your comb and your fingers move together, pulling the hair up. When you reach the corner in this area, be careful, don't round your fingers too much, otherwise you're going to end up creating a triangular shape. Now I'm cutting the back, I'm sweeping round, following my guide which is coming from the apex. If you guys don't know, the apex is the top of the head, which is the highest point of the head. That is your true length where you start your profile line. And that is where I'm pivoting around, cutting the back. As you can see, I'm doing this sweeping technique which is a lot more efficient. You can also section it to get a more precise shape, but I believe if you follow your guide you can't go wrong. You might miss out some bits from sweeping, but as long as you go back and cross check your work like what I'm doing now, you can make sure the shape is good. Don't get me wrong guys, I also section hair, but for short hair like this, I usually sweep. So the scissor work is done, let's dry the hair off. Cool, so let's start my fade. We're going to only use a few guards, starting with my 1.5 guard to create a nice shape. So using this 1.5 guard, I'm going to remove any excess weight and I want to create a nice shape. I also close the lever and I flick out just underneath it. You don't really have to blend it into the top perfectly, as long as you've got a nice shape and you've got an even weight line. We're going to clip over comb and scissor over comb later on. So this guard skipping technique that I'm going to show you guys is something that I've taught myself. I haven't done any courses on this, but I see a lot of people doing it online, so I thought I'll show you my way of doing it. So now using my Andes Supra ZRs with the outliner blade, I'm going to create my placement line. I always use this tool to remove the bulk, and then afterwards I go in with my trimmers to clean it up. This is going to save my trimmers from getting blunt. When you're working in the shop, you probably do about 10, 15, maybe even more fades than that. So using this to remove the bulk is going to save your trimmers from getting blunt. So now I'm using my gold Babyless FX skeletons or whatever they're called, and I'm just going to use that to clean up that line. Now using my Babyless Pro foils, I'm going to clean up everything just underneath that placement line. I take most of my fades down to the foil, as it gives the fade more contrast and it makes it pop out a little bit more. Unless the client's got sensitive skin or sometimes they can get bumps, then I wouldn't use it. But for my client in the chair, Victor, my Colombian brother, he's got that thick, dark South American hair, so definitely take it down to the foils. So after this step, we're going to start the fade process. So I'm going to fade this zero line straight into the 1.5 guard. So I'm only creating one line, and I'm going to use one guard to fade out this line. This is the trick. I use the old school one guard to do this fade. Some of you guys might have this already. If not, I'm going to put a link in the description so you know where to find it. So using this guard open, I'm flicking it out just underneath that 1.5 guard. I take it about an inch above that placement line, and then I close it into my 1. With the 1 closed, I take it to around the middle in between that 1.5 guard and that placement line. Straight after that, I take that guard off and I go straight into my 0.5, and I flick that line out very gently, and that should blend into my 1 guard closed. This is where you really need to control your clippers, control the angle, control the pressure, and by closing that lever slowly, you should be able to fade out that final line. When you close your lever and the shorter you go, you need to flick out a little bit earlier, making sure you don't go into your previous guard, otherwise you're going to create a line. That's why with the old school 1 guard, it's slightly shorter than your normal premium 1 guard. That's why this guard is really good to use when doing this technique. So you can use your 0.5 and you can blend straight into the 1. When I'm guard skipping, I usually do the 2 sides and then the back, because I don't have many guards to go through anyway, so I'm not really going to be putting down loads of guards. It's actually quite easy for me to do both sides. It's a really efficient technique to do. It takes me about a minute or 2 to fade out each side, and then I can just do the back. When I'm doing this technique, personally, my work and my fades don't actually come out as clean, but it is more efficient, and I always go back with my 0.5 guard afterwards to detail and to refine my work. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna get the same result using a different technique, but in a faster, more efficient time. That is the beauty of our industry. We can use different techniques, different tools, different steps to create the same haircut. That is why you can never stop learning in this industry. Even myself, I'm learning every day. There's always new styles, new tools coming out, new techniques that people are creating, and I believe you're always a student in this industry. You are never a master. If you think you already know everything and you're the best, barbering is probably not the right job for you. And there's one more thing that I need to tell you guys, which is really important. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below. Let me know what you think of the videos. Give me some feedback, that would be great. Ask me any questions, I will get back to all of you guys. But cool, now that the fade is done, I'm gonna go in with some clipper over comb. This is one of many techniques you can use to blend the clipper work into the scissor work. Clipper over comb is really good to use, it's efficient. It's also really good to shape the haircut, depending on the angle of your comb. Right here, I'm detailing my work. I'm keeping the teeth of the comb pointing straight up, and I'm just tapping it with my clippers. After clipper over comb, you always want to soften the blend, and to do that, I use scissor over comb. When doing this technique, you just want to dust it off very lightly. You do not want to be taking a lot off. Most of the bulk should have been removed already. So when I'm doing this technique, I work in columns, moving around the head. After I finish cutting, going up with my comb, I always comb the hair down to reset it. Remember, when doing this technique, your comb moves slow and your scissor moves fast. Otherwise, you're not going to get a smooth finish and you're going to start creating lines. Also, to get more power in the blade, to get a cleaner cut, you want to open the scissors as wide as you can before cutting. So right here, I'm spraying in a bit of hairspray and I'm using my hairdryer to set the hair into position. This is going to make the fringe lay down nice and flat, and it won't move as much when I'm shaping it up. Starting my shape up in the middle, creating a guide, I work my way towards the corners. I'm not gonna lie guys, shaping up this fringe was quite difficult. Some of the hairs were sticking up, some of the hairs were laying down, it was hard to control it, but using the hairspray technique definitely made it a lot easier. But we worked with it, we had a problem and we was able to solve it. That's the most important thing. Be careful on the corners, you don't want to curve it up or down, you just want to go straight across, and that's what makes a shape up look sharp, by having sharp corners. I used to really struggle with shape ups, but the more you do it, the more you train your eyes to see the correct angles and to see the lines. You want to kind of visualize it before you actually do it. The more you do it, the better you will get. When I'm doing a shape up, I always use the mirror, but I also double check it by turning the chair around, standing straight in front of the client. I step back and I look at it straight on. This gives me a different perspective, and sometimes you can see little bits that you need to adjust by looking at it straight on. After doing the shape up, I realized that it looked quite heavy in the middle. So what I did was I pulled it 90 degrees and I saw there was a corner just behind the fringe right there, and I just rounded that off, and after I combed that down, it sat a lot better. So now we're moving on to some texturization. When the hair is a little bit shorter like this, I like to do it through my comb, starting just behind the fringe. This allows me to keep the shape of the fringe quite solid. I don't want to create gaps in the fringe, and I just work all the way back towards the crown and I just texturize straight into it. Really good, efficient way to texturize the top. So right here I'm doing a bit of freehand texturizing. This allows me to see how it sits naturally, and I can pick out little bits and areas that I can texturize a bit more. Now fading in my sideburns, just using my old school 1 guard, and that allows me to blend straight into my 0.5 into the skin. So I'm just going to touch up the beard, keeping it natural, keeping the length. I'm just going to create some shape on the jawline and around the top of the beard and the tash. So now let's get into the bit that you've all been waiting for. Let's insert the Barber Jase chopsticks. So firstly, I create a very thin line, which is around the same width as the blade of my trimmers. Then I use the right side of my trimmer and I just drag it down very slightly on the right side of the chopstick. So the second chopstick is really important. I change the angle, I slightly tilt it a bit more horizontal, just behind the first chopstick. I also keep the two chopsticks quite close together, you don't want them too far apart. Can you see right there, the hair in between the chopsticks is also shaped like a chopstick. That is the secret to create a nice pair of exclusive chopsticks. So when you're doing shapes and patterns and lines, the hair that you don't cut actually creates another shape. So it's just as important as the hair that you do actually cut. Finishing it with some razor work, cleaning up the bottom part of the chopstick. And that, my friend, is the signature Barber Jase chopsticks. Now finishing up the beard with some razor work. Cleaning up my client before finally styling him up. Using some texture powder, perfect for this style of hair. Jeez, my boy Victor's feeling himself, he's feeling the trim, and we're just gonna finish off the styling with some matte clay. Using this pompadour comb, creating some more texture. I think it looks pretty sick. Let me know what you guys think, man. Finishing it with some alcohol, definitely to get rid of that Rona. And that's it, guys, the haircut is done. That's the before, if you guys don't remember, and boom, that is the after, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you again so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, Stay fresh, stay faded, stay safe. It's your boy Barber Jase. Peace and love.